Clickety-clack, and we're back. Fantasy hockey. Weekends down. Had a lot of interesting games. It's good to be back in the swing of things. I'm Buzz Birch. It's Unsportsmanlike Conduct Fantasy Breakdown with Kipper Cooper.
Kipper Cooper.
And Rodney Muddergaurd, our veteran player, our player of the past and present. What's up, Rodney?
Not too much. Good to be back.
Good to be back. It is good to be back.
Yeah.
Fantasy hockey. Yeah, this is actually your first show back with us. We did a quick breakdown last week, just a pre-draft. But now that we actually
Let's talk some fantasy.
Yeah, we actually have some actual stats and numbers and games, actual hockey games to go by. Let's talk some fantasy. A couple surprises of the weekend. I mean, all the old vets, the old timers came back. Well, they knew what they were doing.
They sure did.
They didn't take long to get in sync. Jaromir Jagr, 2 goals, 2 assists, open up. Timu, 2 goals, 2 assists. He was pretty good.
Anaheim been ripping it up.
Anaheim's
And
been
The mightiest of the Ducks.
The mightiest.
Mightiest of the Ducks. What are you guys' thoughts on the weekend? Just opening fantasy thoughts for hockey.
Good stuff. Good
stuff. That's all you got?
No, I mean,
good. Like a weekend?
No, I mean, it was
good stuff.
I mean, Martin Luther King Day games were awesome.
Yeah,
they
we
were
watched
all
them
very,
yesterday.
they were all
in
very
particular,
good.
I mean,
I was really impressed with the Bruins. I wanted to see what they looked like with Tim Thomas being gone. I wanted to see how good Tuukka Rask would perform, and he did a pretty good job. I was impressed. They came through.
They did come through. Rodney, what did you think of some of the weekend's action? Maybe a top performer in your mind?
I mean, first game back, Jagr playing for Dallas.
Totally.
Surprised he's not playing in Philly. They like to get the old timers over there, but
Yeah, it's true. That's who just got rid of him. So
Dallas needs that veteran presence.
Dallas is doing good with their veteran presence, definitely. Let's break down the weekend's best.
Okay.
Weekend's best. Yeah, let's talk about that. Another kind of a good veteran, Marian Hossa of Chicago. Chicago kind of opened up.
They've been ripping it up, and considering
against LA Kings, they came up dominated 5-2.
He was just brain stewed, and he's playing like this.
Yeah, a lot of people were uncertain coming back from the concussion, but so far representing 4 goals and assists, plus or minus. He's in the +3, as well as 6 penalty minutes. Nothing wrong with Hossa's weekend so far. Couple good games back.
And Chicago definitely, they're going to look really strong this year with the lineup they got, shortened season. I mean, they have a lot of veterans on there, looking really good.
Totally. Good team to target. Also, we'll give credit where credit's due. This isn't exactly probably nobody had him, to be fair. Daniel Winnick of Anaheim, another 4 goals for him in the opening.
He was looking
games.
like a mighty duck as well.
Yeah, and 6 hits. For our league, actually, he was a top scorer.
He was
for us this.
When you play for Anaheim, you can,
Yeah, that's definitely a team to target. For Buffalo, Thomas Vanek, he had 2 goals, 4 assists. Martin St. Louis, 3 goals, 2 assists. And how about for the netminders? I'm giving the nod to Craig Anderson. He had 2 wins,
for sure.
1 goal against, 58 saves. Thought on the netminder guys? What are your thoughts?
Like I said, with my big surprise, Tuukka Rask, he impressed me. He only gave up 1 goal. It was really fantastic.
Yeah, he looked good.
He looked really good.
I was disappointed in Jimmy Howard. He got lit up
good
for
call.
5 goals. Really surprising.
6 actually. I think 6 in the
I expected way more out of him. I mean, he's an all-star.
Yeah, he was a top round. Top couple rounds there as far as draft.
Top goalie,
Definitely, top 5 or so.
Yeah.
Detroit's a good team, you would have thought. And then, opening up 6 goals against.
Well, all the goalies look rusty.
And against St. Louis, not even really an offensive-minded team at all. Anyway, all the goalies looked rusty. When you're heading into, though, we're starting to get a feel for the teams. What are the, who do you got to target some of the top teams? The better teams, the better ones to target. Detroit, we still think probably is one of those teams, despite of Jimmy Howard's performance. But what are some of the other teams for fantasy owners? You got to be looking at plus or minus a lot. Guys that are just gonna be on the ice for offense.
What you got, Rod?
I mean, Vancouver with the Sedins always looks really, really sharp.
Yeah, Sedin sisters for sure.
Sedin brothers.
They're, like you said,
they're brothers
upgraded
now.
this year.
They're not sisters anymore.
I think they're gonna really come alive. I mean, they're good fantasy options always. Definitely Vancouver. Florida has been lightening up as far as goals. they've had
Florida or
more than
Tampa
10.
Bay?
No, Florida.
Really? Because I was thinking Tampa Bay's
Florida,
offense has been looking very strong.
Florida's got 11 goals in the first 2 games.
Chicago.
Chicago again.
And broken record Kip Cooper right here. Anaheim. Anyone playing on Anaheim looks really good.
Yeah. I mean, we can't forget about Pittsburgh. You got the return of Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
I mean, is he going to play with a shortened year? He might have a chance to play all 48 games.
Definitely.
Yeah, without getting brains.
Either way, they have a lot of good offense on that team, so just good guys to target. And speaking of Anaheim, there's a lot of open guys because that second line right now doing a whole lot of damage with Winnick, Koivu, not Mikko, but the other, I think Saku. Yeah, Koivu. Coglino, any of those guys are probably not even owned in your league, and definitely good guys to target.
Yeah.
Going into next week. Let's not even look at next week yet, though. Completely. Let's give shame where shame is due. Let's look at last week's stink lines. The stink lines.
The stink lines.
Kipper, what are the stink lines? Tell everybody what they are.
Okay, the stink lines is like who we think is who's going to perform the worst. And who did perform the worst? Who did perform the worst in the past weekend, start of the season? Mine, I had to go with goalie first off. Schnieder of the Vancouver Canucks. They told him, "This is your team. Roberto Luongo is of the past. You're done. It's your time." He came out and he -5 in most leagues. Not going to get it done.
You basically came out. They told him he was the starter. Luongo, by the way, is right. 2 years ago, he was regarded as one of the top premier goalies, if not the best. Now, Schneider, they gave him the nod. Tell him, hey, go out there. We're Vancouver. We're a top-seeded team. 5 goals against, only 9 saves. That's pretty pathetic, Rodney. I mean, unimpressed.
It's terrible. I don't see why they don't just take Luongo back off the trade block. Put him back in the starting rotation.
Right.
Switch it up.
They should be happy to have him, really.
It's silly. I mean, who are they going to put in when Scheider basically shits the bed because the guy's a piece of shit?
Send him back down to the AHL. Scheider looks like he can't handle it.
Either way, even if Schneider does get it together, either way, they're credit.
I have him in my league right now, and I am like, no, I do not want this guy.
But you don't want Luongo either, because right now they're sharing time. Neither one is the full-time starter. You don't know where to go.
It's like the dual quarterback thing in football.
Stink line of last week, Corey Schneider for the goalie. For forwards, who complements this line?
I think you could just pick and choose. Take somebody from LA.
Anyone from LA.
The Stanley Cup winning LA.
What is that?
Just not getting it done. They brought home the cup, and since then, what have they done? Partied.
Mike Richards, Dustin Brown, both of them owned 90% of in leagues for Yahoo, and yet -3, plus or minus, nothing between them. Just a whole lot of holes right now.
A lot of holes.
The return, defending champs are not playing as such. I know they're missing Kopitar. But frankly, he's lucky to not be part of that mess right now. Maybe not lucky to be injured. I guess
he's probably working hard to come back, man. But he's not bringing any fantasy points in. Kopitar.
No, obviously he's not really contributing either. So you're right. Anyone from LA, they're on the stink line from last week, and then on defense,
throw the Lakers in there too.
Yeah,
anyone from LA.
Anyone from LA, probably. For defense, we're looking at Mark Giordano, -3 for the plus or minus right now through 2 games. That's bad. That's negative. That's good enough for -9 right now in Yahoo.
Has he just been out there? Like he's
just been out there every time.
Bad luck, really?
I don't know.Maybe he's cursed. Maybe he's just not the pairing right there in Calgary. Is not working out right now.
At least bench him.
They need time.
Now.
Yeah. You don't have to drop him completely. I know he's owned pretty good. He's been dropped in, I think, like a lot over the last couple of days.
I don't know if I'd just drop him. I would just give
wait
him some
on him.
time,
Is all we're saying.
He's
definitely a stink line of last week, but
we don't have to give
up hope on these guys. We're not saying that. All we're saying is we give shame where shame is due and credit where it's credit's due.
Absolutely.
So.
And no credit to LA.
No credit to LA
this week. That's right.
None.
With all those, Anze Kopitar, he's one of the guys right now sitting there, unfortunately not contributing. What are some of the other guys, Rodney? Who do you got on the shelf right now, just collecting dust?
Yeah,
could be playing.
We got a couple of guys out there that I really look forward to seeing play too. In there, on the shelf, like we said, we got Chris Pronger. He's on the shelf indefinitely. He's probably looking
brain stew.
He's probably looking for retirement. Unfortunately, he's been a really good player for
Hall
a really
Famer.
long time. Can remember him playing back with the Whale.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Heavy hitter, good defenseman. You got PK Subban on the shelf, contract dispute. I really look forward to his chippy play out there. Nice hits, running his mouth.
Yeah, it'd be nice for him to collect some points now.
I mean, I like to see him out there playing. He's just an exciting player to watch.
Yeah.
And then on the shelf, but who cares? This guy is a giant piece of shit anyway. Tim Thomas.
Yeah, where is he?
The mustache.
I'm gonna take the rest of the year off. I don't feel like playing. Really. I mean, come on now.
He could be contributing to a team.
You're going to sit out the last year of your contract.
To his team, I mean...
It's his prime.
He won the Stanley Cup with this team, and now he's just going to sit at home and just be like, I don't feel like playing this year.
He's not contributing to any team. He's not contributing to anybody's fantasy team either.
No.
So you're sitting on the shelf, guys.
So I think I think even when he comes back next year, I think he's lost a lot of respect of a lot of people in the league by just deciding not to play.
Probably because, it's hard to look. His teammates are going to be a little disappointed, obviously. I mean...
They all came back for the shortened season, but he can't. I mean, didn't he get enough time with his family?
At least, right? He got a break. I think that's a fair point.
He got enough time with his family during the lockout.
At least they do have a good backup in Rask. He's looking great so far.
Yeah, definitely still a viable.
Like Kipper said.
Yeah, I don't know if Tim Thomas came back, they would even give him the job. Tuukka Rask is playing so good.
Yeah,
he might have to go play for some other team. If he does choose to come back.
Or it might be another Corey Schneider, Luongo situation where both of them are basically
comes back and then,
terrible options. Because
I say send him to Providence.
Well, okay.
Let him rot in Rhode Island.
There you go.
Yeah, if Rask is doing bad, do you think the Bruins give Tim Thomas a call?
No.
Tim
Thomas, he gave up on his team this year. Tuukka Rask is the guy, so fantasy owners don't get hopes for Tim Thomas. He's on the shelf this year.
On the shelf.
Great
segment.
Let's talk about who is here, though. Let's look at next weekend now.
Yep.
Next weekend's got a lot of matches, of course, throughout the week. We're going to look at some of the biggest matchups of this next week. Let's start on Thursday night.
Who's playing?
There's an 8:30 game, a good one. Rodney, you had this one kind of highlighted. Chicago at Dallas. A lot of good fantasy options in this game. Even goalie options too, but I think it might be a little high scoring.
Yeah, I think all the forwards. I mean, Jágr, I think he hit the ice full stride with his first game back. He's just going to continue to get stronger, I think. And you got all the names you have on Chicago. I mean, even with their defensive players, you probably get some points out of your hits with Seabrook. Haas is hot right now.
Yeah.
Kane.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kane.
Toes. Jonathan
Toes.
Toes.
I think.
Toes.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a really good game.
Should be a good one, and right, like you said on Dallas, Jágr looking good, and then Latonen as well in the net has been
it's definitely a good goalkeeper.
Yeah, exactly. So that's definitely a highlight to look as far as like fantasy watchers go. Definitely a good game to highlight.
Yeah.
Another one coming this Saturday. Another, I think.
Big game.
Regardless of especially if it's Corey Schneider in that, should be a lot of points. Looking at Vancouver against Anaheim. Yeah, you can just count really the goals going up.
That's gonna be like that 12-point game.
Like
Luongo and probably, it's fair to say, probably both goalies for Vancouver will get some play time against Anaheim. Right now they're rolling.
I think if Vancouver does start Schneider, he's definitely gonna leave with a sunburn from that red lamp.
Yeah, I would avoid any goalies in that game. And look for
go with
Anaheim going into this week. That should be good, especially if they're
bad
playing Corey
goalies,
Schneider.
great team. You got to target Anaheim all the way.
And we're the highest scoring for one team. You usually get a lot of just because you're just kind of offensively minded and with the scoring power of the cities. It's in Anaheim.
So it could be just a whooping.
It might just be a whooping.
I'm thinking
like maybe 7-4. Something like that.
Watch it be a defensive matchup.
Yeah, it probably will be now. But I wouldn't bank on it. As a matter of fact, like I said, I'm saying don't start either Schneider or Luongo going into next week. Sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah. I have Schneider on my team. I know. Yeah. I'm not playing him.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, we'll keep that going in. Who not to start for next week, and more so, who to start. The first week you kind of get a feel for things, what teams are going to be good. We talked about the teams that were going to be good, but let's talk about some players in specific to target.
These guys are on this thing we like to call The scrap heap.
The scrap heap. Let's check the scrap heap. See if you can find some salvageable parts.
I'm looking over here in the scrap heap over here to the left, and Okposo of the Islanders, he has been playing very, very good. He's on the same line as Tavares. He goes out there. He's a good worker. I would pick him up.
Yeah, he looked real good in that game against Tampa Bay. We happened to catch that, and definitely a solid pickup. Another guy actually in that game who looked good was that Corey Conacher, a real young guy, 4 points in 2 games. Tampa Bay basically are giving up on their defense. They're going with all offense. Another guy I think Rodney you were talking about was Kovalev, the vet from Florida.
Yeah,
he's got a good showing so far, right? A goal, 2 assists, 4 shots on goal too, and the guy's getting.
Yeah, just another one of those old timers out there still putting numbers down, even though he's been in the league a long time.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
with the shortened season, I think we're going to see a lot of higher numbers from the vets, more even with the younger, even guys that are at the top of their game.
They got their legs under them.
Because they're not going to get worn down with the grind of 82 games.
That's what I'm thinking too. With only 48, right? The vets are going to come and play. And
in another guy, Yammer Yager. I mean, I know that
if he's not, he
might. A lot of leagues didn't think that he still had it. I mean, he is an old man.
He's probably not.
And he went to some team that we didn't know that was going to be.
Definitely make sure he's taken. If you haven't already, probably at this point he is.
He's probably already off the scrap heap.
Yeah.
But and Tarasenko.
Yeah, Tarasenko is the same thing. If he was only 66% I think for the drafting. So if he wasn't drafted,
he might be like a first week fluke. He might be a first week fluke.
No, he's on a good team though, St. Louis, and so he's going to get the opportunities at least. But no one expected the offensive power he's had so far, 3 goals. So that was a little unexpected. But they know St. Louis is a good team. But you're right, probably won't be able to keep up that same exact firepower. But definitely
maybe pick him up and see what he's got for numbers.
Yeah, definitely someone worth picking up and stashing at least.
Especially if you have a bad defense or someone in that Vancouver game.
Yeah, right. I mean, they scored 6 goals against Detroit, who was Jimmy Howard, we thought was a pretty good net tender. So we'll keep an eye on him at the very least.
Yep.
Before we wrap things up, we always like to look at again. We talked about the stink line of last week. Again, looking at next week. Who do you not want to get? Who do we avoid? Who are the stink lines of this week? Rodney, we're gonna go with you for. I know you're our defensive. You're a defensive guy. You used to play in Fairfield. You're our on the player, our ex player, I should say, the current player. He started in 2005 for the Fairfield Men's League in Fairfield, New Mexico. Member of the yellow team since 2005. You know what it's like to be out there on the ice day in day out. The veterans
chipping and grinding.
Yeah, veterans and like repeat champions. You think those are the players to target going into the coming rounds where it's a shortened season? You think that group already have together someone like the Kings, for instance? What are your thoughts? Who do you avoid this weekend?
I think you continue to avoid the Kings. I think the real problem with the Kings is they're a young team. I mean, you got a team like Chicago with a bunch of veterans. A lot of them have been playing together a couple of years now, know each other. And the lockout didn't really hurt them more. I think it affects more the younger teams. So I think you want to stay away from teams with more of a young center core, like line 1, line 2's, the younger guys. Probably stick with the veterans. Give them another week or 2 to really get their balance together, and they'll start working really, really good together. Younger guys will just be, pick it up.
For real. Right now, yeah, LA it smells bad.
I think that if the lockout didn't happen, LA would have come out a little bit better. I think that they just partied a little bit too long. I mean, they were the 8th seed last year. It's not like they were.
Well, that's true. That's something to keep in mind, everybody, is that they were the 8th seed. They didn't
a lot of those guys
all year.
Also didn't go play overseas, where a lot of the other teams, a lot of other veterans.
That and their best player right now sitting on the bench, the Anzi. He's collecting dust on the shelf.
Yeah, he's on the shelf.
Yeah, who else? For me, Stinkline, I'm looking at my, he's one of my nemesis right now. Buzz Birch, I'm a spiteful fantasy owner.
We all know you're spiteful.
And last year he screwed me, and this year I didn't draft him, thank God, but if anyone who did, I'm sure he's screwing you so far. Kevin Bieksa, he plays for said Vancouver, and again with a game coming up against Anaheim next week. Avoid him. He will be on the stink line. Right now, he's starting off on it. It's like negative points or so in our league at least. He's coming off of the end of last year. He ended the last year with -7 in the last week. He's not playing hot. I know he's on a pretty good team, Vancouver, but right now they're giving up goals, and he is out there when it's happening.
Yeah. He's definitely
stinks.
He's got stink lines
Stink
coming
line
off of him.
him.
You can smell him all the way to Saskatchewan.
You can smell him on the ice.
Yeah.
You know, it's cold. It diminishes
people
your
in
smell.
Vancouver staying home because of this.
Because
The
of
Green
that.
Man's not even coming to the games, man. That's how bad Schnieder smells.
I was talking about BX,
Oh,
but
BX.
Schneider smells too, actually.
Well, Schneider's on my stink line, actually.
Yeah. Speaking of
Schneider.
who do you have, Kipper, for your stink line?
On my stink line is Corey Schneider once again, because the whole Vancouver stinks. They're terrible. I would drop anyone on their defense unless it's Luongo.
But
He's not going to get any
Luongo's
points
again,
on the bench.
yeah.
And they're trading him anyway. He's on the block to be
So maybe
traded.
that's why you want to target him, is because of that.
Yeah, target Luongo.
He might
drop
be a sleeper
Schneider.
backup goalie. If you have room on your bench for an extra goalie, that might be hot later. Or if your guy goes down, Luongo's going to end up somewhere. And
I
he's
think
gonna
that's a
end
good
up
point.
starting.
And right now, it's not a good situation. And probably people have him. You might be able to get a good trade.
I know I
his
have
trade
him as
value
my
is
third
high.
goalie right now.
Yeah.
Because you never know with an injury who's going to go down, pull a hand.
I'm saying Luongo,
Bruins.
right, is a guy you should target as far as trade acquisitions. Get it while the price is low, because he's, he's a premier goalie in the league. He's just on a funk team right now. They have a weird thing going on. So right now he stinks, but trade for him. Now, if you have him, that sucks. But I think you can trade for him at low cost, and that'll be a good pickup.
Yeah, of course. Now,